don't know about you, but that's it's powerful stuff. It gets behind the professional facade. I'm going to be a wreck by the end of today. I can tell you that now for nothing. And it's good to be vulnerable sometimes. You know, we spend our lives being rough and tough, and you know, the amount of times I used to go. I'm an Arsenal fan. You know, you can't be an Arsenal fan growing up where I grew up, and not ending up at some point in your life standing in front of 2,000 Leeds fans or Man United fans. We used to have a guy called Denton that was with us, and he used to just shout, "Stand," and we would stand. You know, 10 of us, and you can't in that life and in that world not be tough. And actually, part of recovery is being real, being vulnerable. You know, I'm scared a lot. I cry a lot. I get a lot of stuff wrong. But we often, and you have to, you have to reconcile all the things that you've done. You know, you have to kind of gradually learn to forgive yourself and all of that. And I think the poem speaks to some of that. It's fantastic. I want to give you a couple of more instructions. I think we've caught up with ourselves in terms of time. That was fantastic. I think some of what we didn't hear there, well, we heard it, but I just want to push it home to you a little bit. I made a little note while Wendy was talking, and one of the things I want to just emphasise is don't just hear the abstinence bit. Sometimes as people in the field we get caught up with abstinence, harm reduction, this, that and the other, you know, is it Pepsi, is it Coke, whatever. Hear the job, the home, the new friends. That's the bit that keeps people going. You know, it's not just about whether or not someone's abstinent, and you know, we can have an argument about harm reduction, all the rest of it. In the end, when we get into that space, you want to have an argument, then I can be the old person. You know, I don't want to argue. You've got to hear the job, the home, the new set of friends. It's not about whether or not you're abstinent, but if you're not abstinent and you're trying to do all that, it messes it up. You know, so if you're a professional today and you're in the field, hear the stuff that goes around it. You know, you can't have all the rest of it if you're going to be drinking and using all the time, or if you're going to be drinking and using a bit. It just, at some point, it falls apart. And that's not me, that's reality. That's not me saying, take it this way. I'm just telling you how it is. The other thing that I think I'd like to pull out from what Wendy was saying is the disruption is positive. The amount of times, I mean, I'm a former drug user. The amount of times I've detoxed from drugs on my own. We used to have a term, you cluck it out. You know, you get arrested, you cluck it out. You don't, you know, sometimes if you want a deal and you need a few quid, you cluck so you can sell because you need the money, so you can go back and get a bit more and then keep going. There was a culture of disrupting your addiction. There used to be in prison. I've worked in prisons. I've never personally been to prison, but I've worked in prisons and I've met my friends in prisons while I've been working there. And actually prison used to be the place that people used to go for a rest. And we've gone from, you know, 14,000 people 10 years ago being detoxed in prisons to 51,000 people a year being maintained in prisons now. You know, the queues for methadone and Subutex and other drugs in prisons is massive in some of the big locals. And the conversation me and Mick was having the other night about all the different drugs that are available now in prison for people that are clean, but who have still got a bad back and they're taking gabapentin and pregabalin and all the rest of it. Mick knows all the names of the drugs and will describe them to you in great detail. But the reality is disruption, you know, doing something to disrupt that pattern of behaviour. So when you hear about some of the bizarre things that might happen in rehabs that wouldn't happen in the community, bear in mind it's about disrupting that past behaviour and trying to get in there, and sometimes it takes something a bit mad and a bit difficult to do that. For me, at the old it was chits. We used to get chits. You do something wrong, you get a chit. You get enough chits, you get a discipline. Disciplines follow a standard path. And one of them was 9 o'clock bed. I think I spent the first 6 months at Yeldal in 9 o'clock bed. I would go, Ken Wiltshire used to say, I'd give money to go to bed at 9 o'clock now, and I used to say, what does he know? And now, having done a couple of 24-hour working sessions and worrying sessions and this, that, and the other, you sort of think, yeah, I would. I'd like to go to bed at 9 o'clock. A practical thing, we've got out there, we've got a living diary recovery booth. We've nicked it from Big Brother, like the diary booth where you can go in. We'd like to offer that to you, but with a warning. We're going to film it. So if you want to go in and you want to say what recovery means to you in a couple of minutes, we'll film you doing it. And then we'd like to put that out on our YouTube channel, on our website, on the Facebook page, make it available to others, and then you can download it and show it to your friends. If you need a disguise, if you're like a professional and you don't want to be outed, we've actually got some disguises in there, so you can put on a wig and and you can say, hello, my name's so-and-so from such and such a place. And in that sense, it should be okay to be out, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes, when I worked in the prison service, I couldn't tell anyone about my past. I told a few people, and then they said, we're going to give you the job, but don't tell no one else. And, because you're in charge of all the drug dogs and all the security, and I used to think, there was a time when I would have thought, God dear, this could have come in handy. Access to prisons on this level would have been rich, It would have been fantastic, and hearing what Wendy was saying about some of those transferable skills, some of what we do now we call networking. Once upon a time it was criminal conspiracy, wasn't it? We would get together and chat about stuff that we wanted to do, and that wasn't allowed. But I'm hoping that you're having a good day so far.